Um, Fortune struck. Nice lady gave your narrator a buck so I could get a Pepsi. Hmm? So, a little gift at the end of the day for your starving narrator at Loch Ness Apartments. See? It's the universe. Um, so I got a Diet Pepsi. Um, which I want to bring up a topic that's on what we've been talking about tonight. I do think this is the activity for me to do. I just don't know who else is doing it. But the thing is, oh, what a great Diet Pepsi. Your narrator hasn't is having a cash flow problem. He's starving to death here at Loch Ness Monster Apartments, and right, it was the best Diet Pepsi I've had in a long time. Why? Because you know, not being able to get hold of something makes it special. Okay, and that brings me to our point about this. Is it all these people I met that are in these like fields, and I talked about your starving narrators, thinking a lot tonight about these people who are in these fields that I met in academia, and I mentioned this gal I knew who down here works at one of these organizations. That they're in these fields that they study. They study things like the problem of hunger, and the problem of poverty, and the problem of this, and they study the problem itself. And then they don't do a lot of these little, people don't do good Samaritan things that much. This whole crowd of people is studying the problem itself. And my whole thing that got me, a lot of the topics, these videos have been about this Facebook page that I was doing that got me in our game, and that was got me thrown out of school and got me locked in a psychoanalysis cult. And part of the original page that I had to delete when I got called by like security officers is that my comment was that the professors and the academics and things, they're not taking what they're doing seriously. That these aren't serious people. That there's things they're studying are very serious. Things you need a strong stomach for, I would think. And they're like not taking it that seriously. They're, the students are intimidated. So that doesn't really count. That they don't say much. They don't. I mean, not really, not in a real way. I mean, you try to make a good comment, and but no. But the people teaching them aren't taking what they're doing that seriously. There's a lot of they carry on, and they like to talk about there being no God, and they're into somehow drinking flavored vodka at faculty parties. And this was at a place where people were going to the UN, and doing their research on things like hunger. And one of the things that caught me off guard, and why you know, I played a role in getting myself thrown out of school was that I assumed that one of these professors there, she was studying topics like that. She wasn't just studying things that are serious to begin with, but really specific, really hard things that's not very hardcore. Um, about different forms of protest and stuff. I assumed it was a very serious person, so like a person with a strong stomach. So I assumed just naturally, she'd get a kick out of my Facebook page. As a person that serious studying things like that would realize it was creative writing and satire and everything. And she contacted security offices and thought I was a dangerous person, and I was pushed out of the school. What's going on? What's going on is that see, when I got my Diet Pepsi tonight, right, it was sacred. I haven't had anything really. I haven't had any money for a number of days, and it was really cool to get to be able to buy a Diet Pepsi. I really appreciated it. Right, I was holding it sacred. I was alarmed to find out that people in a lot of these fields, and I mentioned my friend who works at one of these organizations that claims to be helping bring food to people. Puts up pictures on a Facebook page of her out to dinner in fancy restaurants. You know, they don't seem to they don't seem to be people that hold much sacred, or hold what they're doing sacred, or think of it that way. They have careers. They condescend to people. They know more than other people. They're experts, and they're not taking what they're doing seriously. In the way I would think. Part of it is a big part of their thing is part of being educated now has to do with not believing in God or Christ. So they're not taking what they're doing seriously. They're not. Not no. They're not holding it sacred. That it's starving people or something. They're not. They're arrogant, but that's not the same as being holding things sacred. Matter of fact, it'd be quite the opposite. They'd be nicer. They're not very nice people, and they're cackling a lot, and they're hysterical, and making little jokes. I mentioned all these professors that check themselves in at psychoanalysis places with like panic attacks. You know, like their whole thing. If you tried to talk to them about politics, me and that young girl went to the comments on neoconservatism. Like tried to talk to them about politics. These like professors, and you know, like they would like make little jokes and like that's their whole thing is like making cute comments and stuff and like they're not taking what they're doing very seriously. These people don't know, but they've lost touch with like holding things sacred. And if you're doing that kind of work, like you know, where you're like worried about like thinking about like people who are starving and things in our country or like living in the street with no food and water and you know things like that, like why they're having so much fun, I don't know. I don't know. But like that was a big part of what got me thrown out on my Facebook page. But I was like commenting on that, like Jesus Christ, like these aren't serious people, and they thought I was like a psycho for saying that. And from there, my troubles began. But you don't have to worry about my troubles. I'm fine. But those are just the loosely knit together comments that were yielded from having a Pepsi, Diet Pepsi, first Diet Pepsi I've had in 2 days. Um, I should just scrape some peanut butter out of the bottom of that peanut butter bottle, but it wasn't coming. Um, I would like to find out who else does this activity. You didn't just kidnap one guy down here. I mean, there's other people that have been, you know, ended up doing this activity a lot and making documents like this and aware that maybe someone's seeing it, but I don't know who else is doing it. Or who else is doing it who's doing it the way I'm doing it as a person like me. I don't know where they are.